Vida over
Yeah,
here.
the da. Now as soon as we get the da, suddenly Sasha's head like pops out the curtain, literally. But it also means you go all the way up to Atzilus. That's what the Breslovers bring down. You go to the highest realm, da, knowledge. Like he's taking you to a high place of clarity and oneness. And this is Rabbi Nachman now taking what we just learned about patience in the previous session we did together with Torah Kufnan Hey and Likutei Moharan. Atzvus is a very not good meter, that's the title. And then we went into the opposite, which is Erech HaPayim, Emuna, Emes. We discussed the idea of getting rid of all these negative things, not paying attention to them, not getting bothered by them, because you're in a state of Emuna. You're not busy with the Avodah Zorah and Haranaf anger of this world. You're tuned into the world of Emuna and patience and everything in its time and place. So there's no pressure, there's no lachatz. You have Yeshiva Das, like on a certain level. He doesn't say that, but and it also brings you to a level of Zrizus and Simcha, we ended up saying. So you don't look at any of the negativity at all. You're just in a state of Erech HaPayim, which, as we said, is one of the midas you can Sarachamim, and also the aspect of Emuna. And this is a Koyach Godel, to grow and to Sameach, to sprout forth. That's how we ended up. So now, V'da, Erech HaPayim, Toli Be'eretz Yisrael. Now he takes it to the next level. Erech HaPayim, this meat of Erech HaPayim, patience is connected, is dependent, on Eretz Yisrael. Kisham zochim lebechinas Erech HaPayim. Because over there in Eretz Yisrael, remember he's talking in, Breslov or wherever he was, in the Uman somewhere. Yeah, he was talking. I don't know when he said this Torah. There are real Breslovers who know exactly when he said this Torah and where he was and what he had for lunch. The real Breslovers. I'm not such a level that he probably ate much lunch, but anyway, he was talking about over there in Eretz Yisrael from Ukraine. And this is the aspect of Erech HaPayim. And we're sitting in Eretz Yisrael, in the world, a place of Erech HaPayim. Ki Eretz Yisrael hu b'chinas Emuna. Eretz Yisrael is the aspect of Emuna, k'mo shekosuf shachana Eretz urei Emuna. And that's a pasuk in Tehillim, Lamed Zayin. The beautiful psalm says, you dwell in the land, and urei means it's the idea like a shepherd. It's the idea of nourishes Emuna, or shepherd's Emuna. You develop Emuna. Like when you're a sheep, you're shepherding them. So this land, you dwell in the land, it will cause Emuna, it will bring about Emuna, increase Emuna. We could get a translation. Let's look in the art scroll what it says. It's Tehillim Lamed Zayin. By the way, this Tehillim, just to give you connection to, she must have some schusim because she's incredibly wealthy and successful. Oprah, sorry to mention her name in the shul, but she has Orpah. Her actual original name was Orpah, funny enough. Okay. So you have Ruth and you have Orpah. That was actually her original name, but it got changed because of her career. She really was the one who went the wrong way, But nevertheless, she still was connected to the children of Naomi and Elimelech, not small people, So she has chusim somehow or another. Her favorite psalm is this psalm. Her favorite pasuk is this one. Is Aneg al Hashem Yitein Lecha Mishalos Libecha. That's her favorite passage, just so you know, just out of interest. All right, now let's find this. Good to know. I've heard her say it many times. Unfortunately, I used to follow her too much. Trust in Hashem and do good. Shachan Eretz Urei Emuna. Dwell in the land and nourish. Yeah, I did say that. Nourish Emuna. Nourish Emuna. Okay, it's a great. Kamosh Amru Chazal Kasubas Kufyud. Kol hadar ba'aretz Yisrael dome k'mi sheyesh lo elokah. Anyone who dwells, dor ba'aretz, you dwell in the Holy Land, is similar to someone who has a God. So, mashma, if you don't dwell in Eretz Yisrael, you don't really have a God. All right, that's a hard one. But he's saying it positively. You dwell in it's a Gemara in Kesubos. You dwell in the land of Eretz, in the Holy Land, you have a God. It builds a munah. It builds a relationship with God. Nimsa Eretz Yisrael b'chinas Emuna. Eretz Yisrael is an aspect of Emuna. Ayda Emuna zochim b'chinas arichas apayim. So this is Rabbi Nachman. He goes over and over This is once again about what we said about internalization. Like with the Levin Esrog, you're bringing it closer again and again and again, doing all these nanuim. What's the point? So you're bringing it again to your heart, bring it to your heart, bring it to your heart. Internalization. So Rabbi Nachman is chazering, and over the same concept. Bechina. It's not just stam. He's not wasting your time.
No,
he wants you to actually.
No. I mean, like where
he's a tzaddik, and he wants you
need to have more Emuna.
Yeah.
Like
so keep saying it again and again until it becomes real. Drive it in exactly. And since this is that you were not able to get confused, shum menes by any kind of preventation. It's a big rest of word. I mentioned it today in my shir.
An obstacle.
The more fancy way of saying preventation. It's things that prevent you, and the opposite is meni'imus, things that are become pleasant because you're not being prevented. The bilbul, same letters. The bilbul v'raso canal. And any kind of bilbul, like craziness in your service. So all that kind of stuff gets taken away because you're able to ignore it all, as we said before above. Yeah, nothing is mebabi, nothing confuses you and prevents you from your service. That we find that the main avodah of ish Yisraeli is merited because of Eretz Yisrael. Why? Because it's Bechinas Emuna. So Eretz Yisrael gives you the ability to ignore all the bilbilim, all the confusion that goes on in this world. Yeah, Eretz Yisrael gives you the tools. Yeah, we mentioned before in the shir the idea of having tools to serve Hashem. Bechinas Arichas Apayim. This is the aspect of patience. Yeah, a godly patience. It's like Arichas Apayim, like lengthening the nose, which is really
patience.
Patience, yeah.
So Rabbi Nachman's explaining here, if I'm understanding, that intrinsic in the land of Eretz Yisrael itself.
Yeah, is Emuna, and that's how each Israeli, a person becomes a Israeli, a real Jew, through being in Eretz Yisrael and getting the aspects of Emuna and Arichas Apayim. And this is an aspect of strengthening growth and strengthening, sprouting forth, like I suppose a more intense version of growing, like Tzemach David, the idea of like a very powerful growth. And through this he can strengthen in his service. It sounds like he's saying the same thing, but it's not, slightly different. He's saying, and with this you will not look on, and stako means to really look. You're not going to get really caught up in whatever's going to cause you to be prevented or hold you back or confuse you. So you're not going to get involved deeply in any of this stuff.
You glance it over.
Yeah. And he means there isn't going to be all that stuff.
It's there. But you don't get caught up in it.
Like the famous story of the Baal Shem Tov, the guy's traveling to Eretz Yisrael. He says to the Yetzer Hara, I don't know if it was the Baal Shem Tov himself, but I think he said it about someone who traveled. He said to the Yetzer Hara that I'm going to the Holy Land. In the Holy Land, there's no room for you, the Yetzer Hara. Like you have to stay here at the port, and I'll go on this boat. And when I get to Eretz Yisrael, I'm parted from you because it's the Holy Land. There's all these things, Emuna, all these holy things. So he gets there, and who's waiting for him? The same guy Yetzer Hara just left at the port. So he says to the Yetzer Hara, "So what are you doing here?" He says, "That guy was just my shliach. I'm the real thing." Yes. Yeah, I'm the real deal now. Now you're talking to the real boss man. Yeah, that was just the schmucky guy sent to you in the chutzlaritz to play with your head.
Opening act.
I'm the real deal. I'm you can imagine it, a real sabra or whatever. And this is impossible to merit this avodas Hashem in truth. If only it was by this. So it's basically impossible. You can't get to such a level if you don't come to Eretz Yisrael. You can't get to such a level of Arichas Apayim and Emuna and not to look at any of your preventations or bilbalim confusions or anything holding you back. You can't get such a high level without being in Eretz Yisrael. You're not going to it's not going to happen. So that one of the things Rabbi Nachman did do was reach Eretz Yisrael. He did come here. It was a whole year, I think, and he went to all the Makmomis Kedoshim. It was a whole story. He said he achieved everything with his first Daled Amos. That's what he said about when he got to Eretz Yisrael. Those first 4 steps.
Get off.
He got off the boat. He
You
said,
got over and say, okay,
yeah,
let's go back.
now I can go back. But he didn't, obviously, because he's not going to go up to go see all the tzaddikim up in Tzfat and Yerushalayim, and he's not going to go to all the makomis because of the Arizal and everywhere. He's going to go to all those places. Ika Godo Ishtokus Islavis Shal Moshe Rabbeinu. Now this is great. It now ties it to Moshe Rabbeinu. Now Moshe Rabbeinu, remember, didn't get to Eretz Yisrael. So we're going to have to understand it's a Rikas of Payim and Emuna. Else, how can it be if Moshe Rabbeinu didn't get to this level in terms of physically, he didn't come to Eretz Yisrael, but yet he was on all those levels. Moshe Rabbeinu was the biggest tzaddik. he obviously was a holding on all this. So we're going to understand that Moshe Rabbeinu got there through Avodah. There's such a thing of Eretz Yisrael for Avodah Hashem. I think that's going to be the answer. I'm guessing from memory of learning this years ago, but let's see.
We also learned it in many different places. That
Yeah.
Hashem says to Moshe, it counts as if you want it. What do you need to go in for?
So the will, you mentioned that before. The wanting it.
Yeah.
The wanting is if you did it. So you can't say Krishna in a dirty place. But wanting it is if what?
That you're fulfilling it.
Yeah, you're feeling.
That's like when you mentioned that in the shir before, you reminded me of the Rav Zusha Elimelech story.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly that story.
Where I went.
That's exactly that story. That is that story. And then because they wanted it so much, eventually they even got to do it.
Then they got to dance about
Yeah,
it.
and
Non-fulfillment.
no, then they took it away and actually davened, with Krishna and everything, because Hashem took away the shmutz, because they're such big tzaddikim.
But we learned it in many different places. And other.
Yeah.
Maybe Rashi even says it.
Yeah, he
I don't
does.
remember exactly. Yeah.
By Bilam, there's nothing more strong than Rotzen. He wanted to curse us so much that he got what he wanted. I mean, he didn't curse us, he gave us bracha, but he wanted to. So the power of Rotzen, the power of wanting something. So maybe that could be the answer. We'll see, let's learn it. Ika Gadol Shtokus Islavish Shal Moshe Rabbeinu Alav Shalom Sham Islav LaEretz Yisrael Kol Kach. The Ika Gadol and the Shtokus is like intense yearning.
Longing.
Yeah, longing. Islavus with like fire, like emotional fire, warmth towards, like Slavus is like burning down with all your energy and like you come on fire. Shal Moshe Rabbeinu Alav Shalom, Shahar Mislav LaEretz Yisrael Kol Kach. That's the point. That's what you were saying. That he was so excited, so wanting and yearning and doing everything he could to get to Eretz Yisrael. Kol Kach Hayrak B'Shvil Midazos Shal Rikus Apayim Mach B'Sharai Shasham Be'Eretz Yisrael Zochin B'Chinas Erech Apayim. So he got this level just by wanting it, which would explain a lot, in terms of tzaddikim like the Baal Shem Tov, and I think he didn't make it to Eretz Yisrael. So tzaddikim, obviously they had a Reconnect and they had a Emuna and they had all these madrigas. So they reached Eretz Yisrael, and like it says when you go to the Keva in Europe, that you're in Bechinas Eretz Yisrael. I felt that when I was by Uman, and also by Mezvish, by the Baal Shem Tov. Not that I'm such a tzaddik, but I felt that. I felt like I was in Eretz Yisrael. Not only was I surrounded by thousands of Israelis and Uman, so that also added, but there was the something about the other being such a holy place.
That said, everywhere I'm going
where's where my thought is. Yeah, and also, so his thought, where your thought is, so he was always going to
You are where your thoughts are. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Be'eretz Yisrael, now, the Satmar Rav used to say, Kanoi Shazach, and he used to say that there are plenty of people in Eretz Yisrael in Chutz La'aretz, and there's people in Chutz La'aretz in Eretz Yisrael. It's all about where your head is. That's how he held. That's why he was not so into the physical dwelling of here. Because if it's without all the right, Torah understandings, then you're just
things in place.
You're not really living out. That was his Shtar Kazakh. Anyway, we won't get into that now. The Zeh Sha'amar was out. Yeah, it's close to Satmarov.
No, but he's from Ger.
Oh, Ger. Ger were very pro.
But he wound up in the mirror, and that's how thank God he survived.
Oh, for Shanghai. Wow.
Yeah, he was there.
Oh, wow.
He escaped with the mirror through.
So he was close to Rebbe Lubavitch and all those Siddiqui.
He was there. He was 16 years old at the time. That's very excellent.
That was a special chabur of people.
Yeah.
The Amshinov Rebbe was there. There was a lot of special people.
So he was
in there also?
Yeah, he was in that group. The Shimon Amshinova. He was part of that group.
No, Knan Har Mazeda he was a gadol.
Like he's 3 generations from the Amshinova now.
So like I like to tell Rav Shlomo because we had a similar thing. He's a descendant of the Ger Rebbe.
Yeah.
And I'm a descendant of a pupil of the Ger Rebbe.
Oh.
I came home from Israel one year and I was singing Kol Mekadosh Shvi. Kol Mekadosh Shvi. And after the Zemer, my Zeta says to me, he goes, you know whose nigga this is? I say, no. He goes, it's the Sfas Emes's nigga.
Oh, wow.
And you know how I know it? I say, no. He goes, because my father was a student. He used to sit at his feet. And he would come home and sing it singing on Friday night. Yeah. So when I found out that Rav Shlomo is a descendant of him, I said, oh, look at this. It's the same thing all over again. It's like
same with greatness.
The Rebbe and the pupil.
Because the Sas Emes was humongous. Like they say by him, Rachis only never spilled any seed or nothing. He was like huge kedusha, huge. I mean, his Torah is like
the point that I wondered about my Zayda because he's so fascinating. But it was he went with the mirror, and then he was in America the whole time afterwards, and he refused to come to Eretz Yisrael. We used to come, and we used to visit, but he would say, no, I'm not. He was of the same mindset as the
Satmar. Yeah, there was a hashpah, but Ger Besof became very connected to a Gouda, and a Gouda was
he
about
went a different way.
Was politically towards building a political representation there as Israel, building cities. You know, the first Rebbes to send the Chassidim out of Yerushalayim and out of Bnei Brak was the Ger Rebbes. He sent them to like places in, like Ashdod, and before that even to that place in the Dead Sea. What's it called? The town begins with A. I forgot Aleph. Arad. He's built a whole Gera city over there. He's got Gera cities all around. The Lev Simcha was the one who started that. That's the current Rebbe's father. He's very into not keeping them all within like the Fruma places and populating Eretz Yisrael. So not only were they into Eretz Yisrael, but they should be amongst all the cities of Eretz Yisrael, not just only one or two of the main cities of where the Frum people are. He wanted it to be throughout Eretz Yisrael. And you see the Chassidim now followed suit, like Belz is everywhere, and Karlan is everywhere, and Amshinov's everywhere, all the Chassidim, Buan is all throughout Eretz Yisrael. They have their places all around. Anyway, let's go weiter. Okay, so this is where we start to see that Moshe Rabbeinu in the Pesukim, and it's based on the Gemara in Sanhedrin, he was very quick, Moshe, to v'yakad v'artz ishtachu. We actually said it, I think, in the Kriya from Yom Tainis, if I'm right. Yeah, that he was very quick to bow down. Ma ra erech hapayim ra. What did he see? He saw erech hapayim. So what did Moshe Rabbeinu see that he bowed down to? He saw erech hapayim, and that caused him to bow down. The meter of Hashem. Hainu kanal ki machmis shirai b'chinas erech hapayim shitali be'eretz Yisrael kanal. This is a very deep concept, but basically Moshe Rabbeinu was experiencing the meter of erech hapayim, which makes sense if it was during the Kriya of Tainus, because Hashem was having rachman on Klal Yisrael, even though we'd done the Egel Zav, and in theory we should have been destroyed, but he saw Hashem's rachamim on the highest level, so he bowed down to that, because that's Hashem showing himself in this world through his rachmanis. So he bowed down, and it was Eretz Yisrael, and you see it's all in that Gemara. That's what he saw in Eretz Yisrael rachamim. Zeh shamru sham, because of Paim, let's be exact. He saw this meter of Erech HaPaim. Zeh shamru sham v'yachad ama emes ra ma ama chada lo pligi. So one said he saw emes, and one he saw Arichas HaPaim, and this is Aramaic, so ma means, the Rav, the master, ama chada. And he saw this, one chada is a chad, saw one, and the lo pligi, and they're not arguing. The Gemara in Sanhedrin. The point was, if you can go open up the Gemara, it's pretty clear, the Gemara there, and it has Emes and Arichas HaPaim. So which one was it? So this one saw that, and they're not arguing. That's how the Gemara ends off, which is a constant concept of the they're both seeing the same godly revelation, but one seeing the meter of Emes, one seeing the meter of Arichas HaPaim. And that's what they're seeing in Eretz Yisrael. That's what they're saying Moshe Rabbeinu saw in Eretz Yisrael. Ki Eretz Yisrael hu b'chinas emes. So now we're going to get into the other. We didn't mention this till now. We mentioned Emuna, we mentioned Rikas Apayim. Now we're mentioning Eretz Yisrael connected to emes, which is another shlav of this Torah. Yeah, the Eretz Yisrael is b'chinas emes. Mavor b'machmache, and we have to go now to Torah v'choltem. This is where I got confused the other day when Rav Shlomo mentioned, that I've been looking for, trying to remind myself, it's Torah Mem Zayin. The famous Torah there, he mentioned that Eretz Achelet Yoshveh. It's a land which eats its inhabitants. It's a Torah Mem Zayin, famous Torah, and he mentioned it in the Shir to the newbies here, the ones who made Aliyah, and he said, just giving a heads up, that it's a land which eats its inhabitants. So how's it connecting to that Torah? So it connects into that Torah that it's quite far off into the Torah actually, but it's talking about Eretz Yisrael as a land of Shefa, V'chulu, and why it becomes a land that eats its inhabitants, because then we're not eating in the right way, and therefore it becomes emes. We're not eating with emes, so we lose the midas emes, we lose Eretz Yisrael. That's how it ties into this Torah Mem Zayin. I don't remember Me'achuz, but that's the Nakuda. If you live emestic in Eretz Yisrael, you won't have shame. You won't end up getting eaten by the land because you're emes. You're in the aspect of Eretz Yisrael. Okay, so that's the Bekitzer, the body. He refers to it here in the brackets. B'Torah B'Choltem Siman Mem Zayin. That's Torah Mem Zayin. Masik Sham B'Gemara Shema Mina Erech Apayim V'Ra. And we take out from this Gemara and we hear from it. Erech Apayim is what Moshe Rabbeinu saw, because that's what we were focused on. Iku b'chinas Erech Apayim canal, like we said it all the way thing above, again and again and again. Erech Apayim is Eretz Yisrael. Sarach kol adam levakish ma'Hashem Yisparach she'elo kasufim v'galguim le'Eretz Yisrael. So then he goes on to say that every single person needs to bevakesh and request from Hashem Yisparach that there should be to him kasufin, like these deep desires and gaguim and yearnings to Eretz Yisrael. Gam she'er gaguim. Remember, this is people who are outside Yisrael, but even so, in Eretz Yisrael, you should still done for this, because it doesn't mean you're really getting the penimis of Eretz Yisrael. You're getting the fluff or the hummus. Excuse me to lower the conversation, but the Simpsons episode, what was Eretz Yisrael in the Simpsons? Loudmouth Israeli guide. Yeah, nothing like Yossi, like a real loud mouth, like Sabra, and like hummus and falafel, like all the Charedim were walking along and the falafels fell out the truck. All the Charedim took off their hat and caught all the falafels. That was like the scene I remember there. Like, this is Eretz Yisrael in The Simpsons, like a joke. Yeah,
I've completely forgotten that.
Yeah, it's a stupid scene, but I remember it some silly reason, because Homer's into his food. Gam sheyeh gaguim l'kol tzadikim Eretz Yisrael. And there should be gaguim of all the tzaddikim to Eretz Yisrael. So if you meet real tzaddikim, which we all have probably, or at least people who've seen some real tzaddikim, or people that are connected to real tzaddikim, they have gaguim to Eretz Yisrael. Example, Rosh Hashanah Mendelovich, during the wars of Eretz Yisrael, conquering Eretz Yisrael, when during the time of independence, there were certain wars, he would leave the radio on the whole Shabbos. He was Rosh Shiva, like the head of Torah B'das. He would leave the radio on Shabbos, and it got to the point he got so emotionally involved in what was going on in Eretz Yisrael, with the whole beginning of Eretz Yisrael, that he started having heart attacks and strokes. Like, it was overwhelming him emotionally. Another story about him is Kedusha, he's connected to Eretz Yisrael. Every time he gave a shir and he brought up Eretz Yisrael, he burst into tears. And he was very close to the Satmar Rov, so they had very different sheetahs about it. So, but they were both from Hungary, and there were certain points they agreed on, and that was the Panemius is all the tzaddikim have got going to Eretz Yisrael. That's the point, and it means like deep, it affects them on a deep emotional level, not just like intellectually. They like Ben Shapiro, they can say a good svara of rationalists. Why Eretz Yisrael? Why this and why that? And he gives a great speech. We're talking about it's from the essence of their neshama, yeah?
The more that person has, the more the gaguim will be to the soul, because there's a soul is actually the...
So that's I missed that in the shir before, thanks for bringing up. That was the next level. Chochmah is Rosh Hashanah, Bina is Yom Kippur, Sukkot is Das. Then you internalize it. Then it becomes real. The more das you have, the more you have gaguim to true things, like Eretz Yisrael, to Tzaddikim, to the Shechina, to the Beis Hamikdash. The more das is Hashem Elokecha. This is the whole point of Sukkot, is to get Laman Yedu, to get to a level where you have true das, you're seeing the skach with das, you're massing what the sas is bringing you, all this wisdom, all this knowledge, all this hashpah. So too with the mitzvahs, you get to a level of the das of Hashem. Where Orish used to go on and on about this. And I once asked him a question. I asked Rav Orish on a trip. Gedalia Fencer was driving us around Miami. We'd just been to the mikveh. And I asked him, I said, what's Peshat in the pasuk we say it on Sukkot Ke'elis. We say Rov Das, Rov Koev, or some lotion like that. A lot of Das, a lot of pain. You have a lot of knowledge. You have a lot of pain. Your heart's broken. Mm-hmm. So what's Peshat? Because it's also Das. The Rav of Orish always talks about Das brings you simcha. That was his Peshat. If you listen to just a few of his classes, I'm sure at some point I'll mention how important Das is, and it brings you to simcha. Emuna and simcha are all connected. So where's this kayev? Where's this pain? So he said that you can have both. And that's the concept of Tanya, that you have a right heart and a left heart. Right heart, side of your heart is the simcha and the das that brings you simcha, and the das also brings you pain because there's the Yetzirah, there's Golas.
Both sides of the coin at the same time.
We Am Yisrael really have to be that complex on a certain level. We have to walk around with paradox. So he chooses to focus on the right side, on the simcha and the joy, but the Koheles is giving us Musa, is saying, and I relate to that pasuk a lot. What are you going to say? What?
I would understand maybe also like, because the more das you have, the more it can pain you when you see the imperfectness, and at the same time you can be like a lot of simcha when you see the other side, but there's so much good, and it pains you when you see of your das how much bad, how
so
bad
this is a famous story. That's exactly the pshat that Rav Fisher Schechter said over from the Tzaddikim. I think it was one of the big rabbis of Kolin or something. I don't remember exactly who it was, but it was maybe the Yenuka. But he was on a level, but basically, not the Yenuka now, the old Yenuka, the original Yenuka from Kolin. It was actually his Yotzai a few days ago. But the concept is he I think it's Rosh Hashanah's Yotzai. So he saw so much, he had such das that he saw everyone's baggage, everyone's pain. He saw like you're saying, the depth of what people are going through and stuff. He was able to see it all.
Right.
He got to a point where he was going crazy from the pain of being able to absorb and see and be so self-aware and so aware of other people that it was killing him. Inside, he actually davened that it should go away. To Hashem, take away this awareness. I can't cope with it anymore. And he was matzliach to, on some level, like lessen the intensity of the sensitivity that he had, and he was able to then be a bit more like with the people and less like affected by the people. I know such people. I think my wife is such a person. She's my soulmate is on such a level where she senses very deeply people's energies and things like that, and therefore it's very hard for her to be around people. I don't know if you can relate to such a level, but that's where she's at. Thank God, maybe I've been toughened up. I don't know. My father's not like that. That's all. Wherever I'm able to cope better, but she mamish gets affected by people, and it's a big compliment to the shul because it's been the most positive experience for her. Because she's sensitive and she's seeing all these energies and she's seeing a lot of good energy here. Thank God.
Oh, Hashem for that.
Yeah. Anyway, Hashem should keep the sweetness.
Yeah, so much good energy.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem. So Bechinas Erech HaPayim, where are we? Yeah. Who gam guim shows? Yeah. So all the tzaddikim are guim le'etzel. Who segula lakas la'atzvus. This is a segula, and this we all need to know. I was trying to get tested by this today. To gas and to sadness, anger and sadness, probably connected. But ki koes ki ilu ovid avodah zarah. Va'akum it says here in the Gemara Shabbos. I don't know why it should say avodah zarah, but anyone who's koes is angry is like he did avodah zarah. Aval eretz Yisrael hu b'chinas Emuna. So obviously the opposite of that of avodah zarah is Emuna, and that's going to take place in Eretz Yisrael, which is a place of Bechinas Erech HaPayim, of patience. You're not going to get angry. The opposite. Heifech hakas. It's the opposite of kas, because you have Emuna, you have also patience. You understand that you have humility, that people are going through things. There's no rush. Nothing needs to be done. There's no need to control. You're just able to go through the process, let them go through whatever they need to go through to get to where you need to go. It's the process. What I said about the other day, the process, with Rosh Hashanah, with the family and everything. It's all about process. If we really look in the longer picture, with humility of the neshamas around us, we would not get angry with our family ever, because we know there's a process of them getting to levels of awareness. And I also went through my process. I didn't grow up like this. It was a process to get to Yiddishkeit and to Torah and mitzvahs. So there's going to be a process with them, also with Shabbos and Yom Tov and all the different things that you're trying to do with them. So it's going to be a process, and then you won't get angry because you'll be with the process and not with the immediate like controlling avodah zarah kind of way of thinking. Heifech hakas, and Erech HaPayim is the opposite of kas. Zeh shekodim Kriya Shema, and this is before Kriya Shema. Shu Emuna hayichud. Okay, this is very interesting. That before you say Kriya Shema, there is Emuna hayichud. Yeah, how do we see that? Anu mevachshim. What do we say in davening and shachris? We say V'hu yachleinu kom yos la'aseinu. That Hashem should take us. Kom yos la'aseinu. We say this in exactly where is it? Isn't it at the end? Yeah, just before we're saying going into Shemona Esrei. Do you have a sitter here? No, not shachris. Oh yeah, we have a sitter. Great. Yalcheinu. So we're saying the Hashem is going to take us kom yos. Kom yos we say upright. There's different ways of explaining it. what it actually means. But then the point is that we're coming to the land which brings us to a higher level. Like upright means we're like standing up, means we're not like in a cutness, we're in a godless, we're in a greatness. We're thinking in the right ways. It's the right way you want to be, ideally. We don't want to be these like nebby little Jews,
Like held upright.
Yeah, we're coming back to Eretz Yisrael, Komius like Seinu, in the right way. I think you know where it is here. So
I feel like it's in Shema, that's right. But
no, it's before.
in the paragraph right before Shema.
Yeah, before in Avos Olam, we say, "Mahar aver aleinu bracha v'shalom ma'ar b'kanfas haaretz v'shvor goyim ma'aser reigns and the kom mahera speedily komiyas laretzeinu." They should speedily lead us to the land. He added in a word mahera that doesn't say Rabbi Nachman. Holy kind of mahera should speedily komiyas laretzeinu.
Gather us.
Yeah, it should take us and gather us. We've just brought all the sisters together. We're about to say the Shema. We're having a moment of Emuna hayichud, Emuna in the yichud, in the unification. The Hashem's going to take us to the land. That we are then requesting and yearning to Eretz Yisrael. And then we're zoka to the level of Emuna, and that is Krishma, Shemuna. And that's why I said in my shir before, that's the mission statement of Israel. Really. I mean, the Kalev Rebbe told me, he said to me, Beferish, he said he had a dream. Shim Bar Yochai told him that his job, I heard this from Kalev Rebbe himself, that his job is to bring Am Yisrael to saying Krishma. All of Klai. That's why he made that famous nigun. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. I don't know if he sang it at school, but everyone who connects to Chabad or any kind of, I didn't sing at school because I didn't even sing any Jewish songs because I was in a Jewish school. But if you were to go to a Jewish school, you sang that nigun. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Yeah. So you never heard it? No. I remember. I thank God I had a bunch of years I was by him, a holy Yid from the Holocaust, and he said he was having dreams of Shem Bar Yochai, things he would say, like it was like, wow, this is intense. And I was lucky to be by many, many moments. And one of them was he had all kinds of tours and people would come to the shul to see him because he's like got a Holocaust museum somewhat. He's himself from the Holocaust. He had a very interesting shul and on big pillars was Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. He built that as part of the decoration of the shul, beautiful shul. With that pasuk like laid out across, it lit up like around Aaron Kodesh, and he would sit, and it's one of the things he always did with all the groups that ever came after Kabbalah Shabbos.
Where is this?
In Ezra's Torah, it's a Broch of Chana. I lived in Elkanah. I lived like 2 minutes from there, so I used to always be by.
Which one, Kalev?
Kalev, the one without the beard.
Yeah, no, there's Kalev over next to Chabad.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's the one. That's the Rebbe now. He's a Gingy, but he I don't know why I said Gingy. He's the Rebbe now. He's a grandson, and but he's not really the grandson. He was adopted, but Kilu's the grandson. He's taken and continued it on. He's also a Rebbish person, but at that time he was sitting there humbly next to the Rebbe. Anyway, so the Rebbe said, what kind of Rebbe do? He would sing this nigun every time people came. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. The idea of Shema, this Yichud, he held that this is Emuna, this is what Klai Yisrael will need, and he brought it from Shem Bar Yochai, that the key to Geula is this pasuk, and it's brought in Halacha. I think the Rambam brings it, that just with the power of Shema we will get out of this goddess. I think it's a Rambam. I've actually somewhere in, I don't know, Hilchos based in English or something. You have to go find it. I'm not such a baki in Rambam, but I've heard it from the Rambam. I've read it one time, and the idea that the concept of the Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad is the koach of yichud, is what Klai Yisrael. And if you think about it, it's brought in. We had in Parshas Kisei, Mechama, and just the power. Am Yisrael will be masech in all our mechamas, all our wars. It said they at least had to know Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. It said Shema Yisrael, Heske Shema Yisrael. It's a pasuk in. It's somewhere in Devarim, Heske Shema Yisrael. We say it as. If I have my siddur, I'll be finding it in a second. But it's a pasuk I think in Kisaba. The idea is that the groups will gather together with Shema Yisrael. The Shema Yisrael is the key, the Yichud, the Emuna, that gets us out of this Avodah Zorah, this Haranaf, this negativity, this Bilbulim, this confusion. It's our mission statement that Hashem is one, that Am Yisrael one with Hashem and Hashem is one with us, and it's the key to the game. Like
Shema is Emuna, and Eretz Yisrael is Emuna.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, Israel itself is the name of Eretz Israel. So even our name of our neshamas is Israel. We're the one with this land. It's all wachad. It's echad ba'aretz, echad. It's all one. And that's the idea that by us tuning into, and we have to ask. He says we need to mevakshim, requesting this mitzgaguin Eretz Israel. It's something we have to ask Hashem. We can't just. There's a very big nakuda in Rabbi Nachman's Torah. It's not enough just to learn it. We have to pray on it. We have to ask it, request it. And that's often, like you see the pasuk before, we're saying, the tefillah before, we're saying, we're screaming it out, and Avas Olam. The Baal Shem Tov says, and that tefillah has the power to bring Mashiach, just the Avas Olam. If you say it with Kavana Avarabba, if you say it with Kavana Marichin, and it says to lengthen it, say it with Kavana, not just to fly through it, to really put Kavana into those prayers, because it's bringing out this truth of Emuna, of Hashem Echad, that we get ready for the Shema, the oneness of Hashem that we're bringing into the world every day. That's the key to get us out of this goddess. Like if we were tuned into that kind of energy and truth and reality and patience and Emuna and emes. So interesting, according to the Gemara, emes, Emuna, Arichas Apayim, they're all one concept really at a certain level. Eretz Yisrael is one. It's interesting. It all comes to a certain bechina where they're all unifying these concepts, these midas. And Moshe Rabbeinu was seeing both of those. So he was on a level, even though he hadn't got to Eretz Yisrael, but he's experiencing what Eretz Yisrael is, a place of Emuna, a place of Erech HaPayim, a place of Emes. He Moshe Emes, Yisrael also Emes. He was Emes. So he was on that level, and that's the Gagum of the Tzaddikim, even if they never made it to Eretz Yisrael, that's what they were holding at. And that's something that we're living here, we should allow ourselves to experience that, so that when things kick off, like I had a whole story going on, I don't know if you get these things in Eretz Yisrael.
We got to ask for it.
We have to ask for it. I had this whole story with the pipes and the water's leaking. It was just yesterday, and it was a fast day, and suddenly all these three guys are standing like almost in my room, and I'm lying in bed like knocked out from the fast, trying to like work, but then I'm falling asleep, and I'm in a real cutness, and other things have been going on, and I'm just like, wow, what's the water flying and leaking through the ceiling, and enough with it. It's just one of those moments, fast day, like everything's getting difficult, and you're just feeling like, wow. Now, the point is, the ideal is you have a Richas Apayim, that you're patient, it's going to get sorted out. Now, I didn't deal with it perfectly, there was a few moments where I was weak, because I was upset my wife let them into the house without telling me they were all going to be standing there. So I was a bit upset, so I didn't have a Richas Apayim Legamri. But as time...
was rough. I mean, I know it's like just...
As time goes on, with the fast...
Beat me up yesterday.
Yeah, with all that kind of stuff. But as things went on, it got better. And it got to a point where the whole process worked itself out. Like we were okay. Everything's fixed now, Baruch Hashem. And within a day, it all got sorted out. It's just allowing the process, not wanting like a quick fix, That's it.
Shkoyach.
Hashem should help us.
Oh, man.
Did you say the Pshat, the Eretz Yisrael, that it becomes Ish Israeli? That you get into,
with MS, eating
like,
with MS, you won't get into that whole thing of falling into embarrassment and schnorring away, which can, unfortunately, Eretz Yisrael is associated with people that don't have so much, running around asking for money, and really, the Kuda is, if we have Emuna and MS and Erech HaPayim, we should be Shefa, it should be everything we need. This is a land of Shefa, of abundance. Eretz Chalav Davash. It should not be a land of us walking around going like this, give me money. Like that's God's experience. The amazing thing, if you go
the Eretz Chalav that everybody, like you see Emuna like everywhere, Goyim, like everybody's being like drawn as a magnet, like taxi drivers, everybody says Baruch Hashem.
In the positive sense.
In the positive way, it's like it's Ochelet Yishvei, you become Ish Israeli, like infused with Emuna.
So then
like the opposite,
it eats out the negative side of you.
Yeah, and it eats you, and you become Emuna.
Well,
you become Emuna.
That's a nice shot. I don't know if he says that though. That's a different shot.
I've learned
maybe somewhere else.
Maybe somewhere else. Maybe in Kitzur.
Or maybe if you really understand what he says, because each member Torahs are very deep.
Right.
And that Torah Mem Zion is a deep Torah. It's a very difficult Torah to understand, because it's talking about eating on a very high level. And it's like it's being MS on everything. Imagine like how you eat, totally what you need.
Absolutely.
And that affects you like in a high way, that you don't fall into embarrassment and the negative side. So you have to be holding to get to that. But it does happen also. You see people do, eventually it beats you up. In one Rav said, another Torah, the next Torah, Kuf Nun Vav. There's one point, Kuf Nun Vav. The kettle's boiling. The kettle's boiling. This is a deep. It says Leiv Torah. That's the next Torah. The kettle's boiling. What's happening? All the negative traits, all the negative aspects go right to the top of the water. That's all the not good midas, all the not good elements. So what's happening now before Mashiach comes? Everything's boiling. It's boiling. But what's happening is purifying. The water's becoming clean so you can drink it. So you can make a nice coffee on Yom Tov or Shabbos or whenever. So the point is all the negative stuff is coming to the top. But what's going to happen? It's all going to just get blown out because it boils it out. So we're still seeing that part which all the negative rise to the top. But that's not going to stay. It's going to boil out. And then we're all going to just be, coffee and...
To drop something from the top, to drop something from the top to make the agola
clean.
Over
Purify everything, exactly. That's the whole concept.